back as Hollywood Way, Alameda.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
Is this the Tavis?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are in trouble. They lose at home again to the Arizona Diamondbacks, this time by 2. The Dodgers are on the verge of elimination in the best-of-5 series. If the Diamondbacks win Game 3 Wednesday night in Phoenix, the Dodgers are done for the season. Some sad numbers affecting the Dodgers in the first 2 games. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, their top 2 hitters, are a combined 1 for 13 at the plate. The Dodgers are 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position and have stranded 13 base runners. The Lakers beat Brooklyn by 3 last night in a preseason game in Vegas. LeBron and Anthony Davis played the first half before getting the rest of the night off. LeBron had 10 points and 5 assists. The Clippers take on Utah tonight in Seattle. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
On October 12, 2022, Nuri Martinez resigned from the Los Angeles City Council. This came a few days after the world heard Nuri and other elected members of the council speak disparagingly about black people, indigenous people, and others.
This white guy with this little black kid bouncing off the effing walls on the floor. There's nothing you can do.
And what participants believed was a private conversation, racism, colorism, homophobia, and bigotry were exposed like never before. The effort to undermine the political influence of black fellow citizens was specifically targeted by these so-called leaders. Everyday people stormed the doors of City Hall demanding immediate resignations. Even the President of the United States called for resignations. On Thursday, October 12th, 5 to 7 p.m., KBLA Talk 1580 will host a day of dialogue on the anatomy of anti-black racism and bigotry in Los Angeles with an all-star panel of civic leaders. Don't miss this conversation. Thursday, October 12th, live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an encore performance from 7 to 9 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Tavis Smiley. I'm glad you're hanging around with us today in this hour of our program. Delighted to have you tuned in. In this hour, which I've been looking forward to, I'll tell you why in a moment. In this hour, a young girl is born in the Philippines, earns a law degree to practice both there and in New York, falls in love with a guy named Reginald Lewis. Reginald Lewis, who ends up being the first African American to acquire a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation. I remember well when that happened. And she ends up becoming a leading philanthropist. I am honored to say that Loida Lewis is live with me right now here in studio to talk about the legacy of Reginald Lewis and her story of love, marriage, motherhood, and running a billion-dollar empire. Now, for those of you Reginald Lewis fans, and I count myself one of them, you recall when Reggie Lewis wrote this book called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? It was an amazing book. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it, couldn't wait to read it, to understand more of the story of Baltimore's own Reginald Lewis, and the story of how he was able to accomplish all that he did. Died way too soon. We'll talk about that as well in this hour. But when Reginald wrote that book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?, the title alone made me want to read it. I say nothing of his backstory and all that he'd accomplished in the world of high finance and corporate affairs. And so here comes Loretta Lewis with her book, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American story of love, marriage, motherhood, and running a billion-dollar empire. And there is an absolutely gorgeous photo of she and her beloved Reginald Lewis on the cover of this book. So when I tell you, having read Reginald's book many, many years ago, how honored I am to now meet his wife and to have her join us live in studio, I mean that sincerely. Loretta Lewis, what an honor to meet you.
The honor is mine, Mr. Smiley. Thank you for having me.
No, it's my great delight. Please call me Tavis. We can get along. If you call me Tavis, we'll get along much better in this hour. Again, just delighted to have you here. I said an hour ago in the first hour of this program today to my audience, if you do not know the name Reginald Lewis, take a moment and Google it before Loretta Lewis joins us live in studio. I want you to get some sense of how iconic this man was. So before Byron Allen and all his money moves, before Robert F. Smith and all his big money moves, the brother who gave all that money away at the Morehouse graduation a few years ago and paid for all those degrees, all that debt, that Robert F. Smith, he blurbs the back of this book written by Loretta Lewis. So before Robert F. Smith, before Byron Allen, and all these other black folk who are doing some pretty amazing things in the world of finance, there was Reginald F. Lewis. And so I want to start our conversation by asking you to tell the audience in your own words, who was Reginald Lewis?
Well, Reginald Lewis, as you have said earlier, is the first African American to buy on borrowed money. It's called leverage buyout, a $1 billion company, Beatrice International Foods, that consisted of 64 companies in 31 countries, international food. And so he broke through that glass ceiling that is only for white guys. So that's why he said, I want my book to be titled, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And here comes Reginald Lewis buying $1 billion business empire on borrowed money, leverage buyout.
Tell me more about how that happened. How does a black guy, to your point, you said it a couple times already, how does a black guy convince some white guys, to give him money to buy a $1 billion company?
Well, first of all, it's mindset. When we first met and was talking about Joe Louis and Louis Armstrong, which are the well-known black singers, black sportsmen, he immediately waved me off. I'm international. Meaning to say he never thought of himself. Of course, he's very proud as an African American, but he didn't limit his dreams to what dreams were. He didn't limit his dreams to lower sights.
Yes.
He dreamt big. And he was only 25 and he's already saying, I'm international. And so where did that start? From the time he was young. Although his mother left his father when he was 5, his grandmother, his mother, and the 9 uncles and aunts always gave him self-confidence, self-esteem. And in fact, when his grandmother would bring him, he was 5, 6, to clean white women's homes, and the white woman would say, why don't you ask your grandson to help you? Nope, he's special. So early on, he was given that self-esteem, that dream that he is special. But he didn't just sit behind. At 10 years old, he started to distribute Afro-American newspaper twice a week.
In Baltimore.
He started with 2 customers, his parents, of course, his grandmother, and he was able to get 100 customers in 2 years.
Hold that thought. He's 10 years old. He's got 100 customers in 2 years, start with his mom and daddy. This is the story that I wanted you to hear, and I'm so glad that Loretta Lewis is here to talk about his story first, and then we'll get to her story in her book, Trust and Believe. But I want you to understand, if you've never heard the real story of who Reginald Lewis was, you have to hear this story. And I'm just getting started. With our guest, Loretta Lewis, you're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfection like zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Coming 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Feel it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with the CHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. And I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
Yeah, this is Lathan and Tyler. Main reason that's very important for me to be here is just to leave a legacy for my kids. Black wealth, generational wealth is what we need in our community, you know. Oh, Chase, someone has to take the lead. They're showing, big business like Chase cares, and, they're putting their money where their mouth is at, So it's good to see, big institution like Chase, giving a lifting hand, to the community. And, you got to respect that. It makes me want to bank with Chase and, give them, another look. If I go to another institution, I actually see what Chase is doing for the community.
That's right. Chase is doing their part to help advance Black wealth. For more money support, tune in every day from 12 to 2 to KBLA Talk 1580's Midday Money Chain, right here.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
I was sharing with Ms. Lewis, Lorna Lewis, during the break, how we actually connected. Of course, reminding her she knows this. So it's a small world, and we've all talked about 6 degrees of separation. I believe in Black America, it's more like 2 degrees of separation. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Pookie who knows somebody that will get you where you need to be. I've told the story many times of my friend Nadine McKenna. Nadine McKenna is the Black woman who wrote the classic Christmas song this Christmas for Donny Hathaway. So Nadine McKenna was working at the post office in Chicago and wanted to be a songwriter. Was in fact a songwriter. She'd written this song this Christmas, and for me, it ain't Christmas until I hear Donny Hathaway's version, the original version of This Christmas. So she's working in the post office writing music, and she writes this song, and she wants to get it to Curtis Mayfield, the icon in Chicago at that time. She didn't know anybody that knew Curtis Mayfield, but one of her co-workers at the post office said, I don't know Curtis Mayfield, but I know a guy named Donny Hathaway. She said, who's Donny Hathaway? He said, have you heard that new song called The Ghetto? She said, yeah, I heard it on the radio the other day. He said, that's Donny Hathaway. She said, oh, that guy's got a nice voice. He said, yeah, I don't know Curtis Mayfield, but I know this guy Donny Hathaway. And so because this brother at the post office working with her knew Donny Hathaway, that's how she got that song This Christmas to Donny Hathaway. And the rest, as they say, is history. It is the iconic song written by, performed by anybody Black that everybody has recorded time and time and time again. And Nadine McKenna has been living off that one song all these years because everybody covers it. But she had to hook up at the post office with one of her friends, got her to Donny Hathaway. So I'm in New York a week or so ago. I'm there for a number of meetings, and I'm at a dinner table with a lot of highfalutin, high-profile black people, and one of them is a guy named Carl Nelson. And somehow in this conversation, the name Reginald Lewis comes up. I don't even know how it came up, but this name comes up. And I started opining on how much I love Reginald Lewis. And I just had a book come across my desk written by his wife, Lorda Lewis. I was just starting to read it. When I got done with it, I wanted to invite her on the program. And this Negro pulls out his phone and calls Lorda Lewis at the dinner table. He and Ms. Lewis are friends. He literally put her on the phone with me at the dinner table in New York a week and a half ago. We talked. She said, Tavis, as it turns out, I'm coming to Los Angeles in a couple of weeks. And that's how Lorda Lewis got in the studio. Is that a crazy story or what?
No, that's life. Carl Nelson has been friends. We have been friends since 1995.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we call each other, attend galas together.
Yes.
Yes. No, he's very helpful.
No, I'm glad he pulled that phone out. He was helpful to me. And so I had planned to track her down and didn't have to even work hard. So Carl dialed her. We talked on the phone right there at the table. And we set this date, and I'm delighted to have her in studio. Her book is called Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American story of love, marriage, motherhood, and running a billion-dollar empire. We will get to the story of Lorda Lewis as we move through this hour. I'm glad I have the hour. There's a whole lot to talk to her about in this hour. But I want to come back to the story of your beloved Reginald Lewis. You were talking about his growing up in Baltimore and how at the age of 10, within a couple of years, he had 100 customers.
And he sold it.
Yeah.
He sold it to his best friend on leveraged buyout. Yes.
He sold his business as a kid to his friend.
Best friend.
Yeah.
They're 12 years old then. And he would collect his portion, his price every week. And if he doesn't give every week, they would quarrel.
Yeah.
Yes. So even then, at 12, he was already starting a business and selling a business. So, and that's how it did. In high school, he was a quarterback because he knew that's the only way to get a scholarship for college. And he did get a scholarship at Virginia State University. Sadly, he hurt his shoulder and he couldn't continue. So, although his goal was to finish college on a scholarship, he shifted. You have to work. And so he divided his time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he would study, go to school, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, out, meaning to say, getting work.
Sure.
And he got to work with a photographer who does school albums. So he was the salesman. He would go, he would plan his trip to go somewhere, get in touch with all the principals, and that's what he would do on Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday. He was so good, he was offered a partnership by his boss, this photographer. So all I'm saying is that sometimes you're going one way, something happens, then go the other way. Always a solution to every problem.
Yeah. Let me stay with this story of his youth, because you said earlier in this conversation, Lorda Lewis, that his mother, his family, when they were going to clean white folks' houses, and the white folk would say, "Why don't you get your son to help you?" They would say, No. He's special. I may be doing this as his black parent.
No, grandmother.
Grandmother, yeah. As his grandmother, I may be doing this, but this is not the work that my grandson is going to do. She would not let Reginald Lewis do that work because she knew there was something special and greater in him. That's a powerful affirmation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All parents should have that because your children will go up to the expectation. And if you say, "Oh, you as stupid," or you all of the cuss words and bring your son or your daughter down, then that's all they hear. But you raise up their sights, you are going to do good. You're going to be, a lawyer, an accountant, a teacher, whatever it is. Then you're lifting them up, giving them self-esteem that whatever it is they want to do, they can do. In fact, that's how I was raised by my father.
Tell me about your being raised in the Philippines, and tell me about your father.
Yes, my father was orphaned when he was 12, and his mother, as with many Filipino and African American too, you have a rich uncle or an aunt, so you stay there, and that's what he did. At 12, going to high school, he was living with a rich uncle in one of the provinces, where he saw how his uncle was such an entrepreneur, who had a movie house, gasoline station, construction work, and other things. So eventually, in his mind, that's a way to live because they were very comfortable. So when we were growing up, he would go to Manila and stay there from Monday to Thursday. Friday he would come home, and at the end of a very sumptuous dinner, he would bring us. We would all move to the balcony where we can see the town where I grew up, where I was born and I grew up. And then he would start it really is called brainwashing or values formation. He would say, all right, what are the 5 secrets of success? He doesn't wait for any of us to answer because he'll answer himself. Hard work. And then he'll give example of how hard he worked. Common sense. Common sense, as I said before, is finding a solution to any problem. Just common sense. Move it through your mind. What do I want to do? This is how it go there. Third one is determination. Because he said, many people will say, you can't do it, or who do you think you are? Don't pay them any mind. Be determined to achieve your goal. The fourth one is thrift. Thrift is called now financial literacy.
Yes.
Then thrift means putting money in the bank or buying things at a discount. So growing up as successful as my father was, he called him Paquito, he never bought a first-hand car. Why? Because he got mechanics working for him. We always had a second-hand car. And sometimes it's so bad it would stop in the middle of the road. But that's part of growing up.
Yeah.
So thrift.
Yeah.
Okay. Know how to save. Here I would say know how to invest in the stock market. And the last one is faith in God. And I think that saved me because I'm Catholic, I'm Christian. I believe that God loves me and will not let any harm come to me. And even if it comes, even if tragedy comes, He holds me in the palm of His hand, and I will not be abandoned.
Oh, Jesus. Whew. There's a lot to unpack there. Let me start with this. Your father was a special man, first of all, as you already know. But I love that loving indoctrination that he was putting in you even as a child. What fascinates me is all these years later, you remember it like it was yesterday. The way you just broke that down is as if your father just told you that yesterday.
Yes.
It stayed with you all these decades later.
Well, how could it not? Every weekend, that's how he would start.
Yeah.
As we look over the entire town on the second floor of our balcony. Okay, so we were comfortable, middle class, upper middle class. And for him to start that, and we know Monday to Friday he wasn't home. He was in the city, in Manila. So we know he was working hard for us to send us to the best school. So, you don't have to be taught. I experience it. My father works hard. My father never accepts a no for an answer. In fact, that's how my mother got him.
He was not accepting no as an answer.
Yes. So, things, and he would say it every weekend. So, you absorb it. That's why I know it. Yes.
So you end up with your father's encouragement going to the best schools. You've got his 5 principles of success. You end up studying law. Tell me about how the law ended up being your way out.
Well, it's not only that. I studied hard. For elementary school, I was second place, salutatorian. Okay, didn't get quite to first place.
Yeah.
By high school, I was valedictorian. In college, I was cum laude. So you work hard. Then college, University of the Philippines College of Law. Tough. I was with the toughest, and I only graduated number 7 in class, not number 1.
Only number 7, okay.
So I want to impress that. So my father wanted to be a lawyer, but he went into business. So when I took the bar, passed the bar in the Philippines, and sworn in as a lawyer, he was so happy. His dream of becoming a lawyer is fulfilled in his first daughter. That's why I guess I was given the idea that I can do no wrong. I can aspire for anything and I can do it. So again, that's what they call this now. That's a way of rearing children.
Oh yes.
Okay, whatever they dream, give them confidence. So he sent me on a round the world trip, come back to the Philippines, and then start my career as a politician. Because when I was 7 years old, he built a movie theater named after me, Loida Theater. Wow. So when I'm ready to run for public office, I already have name recognition.
Yeah.
That's how far my father was thinking.
What does it mean all these years later when you look back on it, Loretta Lewis, what does it mean to have been loved in that way so deeply, so powerfully? I said on this program yesterday, and I believe this, that we are who we are because somebody loved us. Every one of us is who we are because somebody loved us. What does it mean for you in retrospect as you think about this, as you write this book, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? What's it mean to you to have been loved that way by your parents?
Well, I think it made me whole. Mm-hmm. And the way they loved me is not like, you are good and they are bad. I never heard my father, because I guess he was not born poor, but they were poor when his father died, that he never identified my classmates saying, don't go with them because they're poor, or don't go with them, they don't dress right. Don't go with them because they're darker. I never heard that. So we have the movie house. I would bring my friends from all walks of life to come to my movie house for free. Yeah. So that doesn't make me popular, but I chose my friends because they were good. I didn't choose my friends because of what they look, because of how their economic status. So what does it mean to be raised like that? Loved and being given the ability, the belief that I can do whatever I want if I work hard. Then I am what I am. When
I think of Philippine politics, and you'll forgive me, my ignorance is going to show here. But when I think of Philippine politics, I think of two people: Ferdinand Marcos, and of course Imelda Marcos, and then Manny Pacquiao. That's all I know about Philippine politics. So when you got into it at such a young age, why did you do that, and what was your takeaway from that experience?
You mean growing up in the Philippines?
No, being in politics.
I'm not in politics, but I know that politicians, the government, affect our lives in every aspect of our life.
Right.
Therefore, why are we going to be quiet and not vote, not register and vote? We are doing ourselves harm. That's why when President Marcos, declared martial law in 1972, my sister and I were out there anti-martial law. And so that goes on. Although during that time when I was married and I gave birth and we have 2 children, and also because, you have to select what are your priorities. So during that time, I wasn't as involved except publishing a newspaper against Marcos. Or by the way, there is a Broadway musical now on Broadway in New York, Here Lies Love, which is the story of Imelda Marcos without the shoes.
Without the shoes, exactly.
They didn't emphasize the 3,000 pair of shoes.
Yeah,
but it's her rise and fall.
Yeah.
From a human standpoint. So it's not saying supporting martial law.
Sure.
No, it gives her as a human being.
Yeah.
Warts and all.
Yeah, I got to see that. I haven't seen that yet, but I was just reading that play is up and running now. Our guest in this hour is Loretta Lewis. Her book is called Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American Story of Love, Marriage, Motherhood, and Running a $1 billion Empire. More with Loretta Lewis when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Families of Americans missing in Israel are asking the U.S. government to act. Speaking in Tel Aviv on Tuesday, families described the last messages received from loved ones after the Palestinian militant group Hamas attacked Israel over the weekend. One mother said she knew the last message she got from her son saying, "I'm sorry," meant something had happened that would cause her worry. In Mississippi, independent candidate Gwendolyn Gray announced on Monday that she's withdrawing from the governor's race and throwing her support behind Democrat Brandon Presley. In a written statement, Gray, who is African American, said her endorsement of Presley was because of his promise to work to expand Medicaid in Mississippi. Gray's withdrawal also comes less than 1 month before the November 7th general election. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
You'll see that top and diamond bar in the 57 north as you get up to the 60. A crash onto the right shoulder. You're on and off the brakes starting around D-Bar Boulevard. Pico Rivera Whittier, that 605 south at Washington. That's a crash onto the right side. Sticking up the drive from Rose Hills Road. Southgate on the 710 north at Imperial Highway. Crash from earlier onto the right shoulder. Kind of no go from Rosecrans. Boyle Heights on the 10 west. Approaching Soto Street. A right clear to the right side, but coming away from the 710 things are busy. Clear that stalled vehicle to Toluca Lake Studio City on the 134 west near the 101-170. That was in the carpool lane. That's gone. But still that busy drive as far back as Hollywood Way, Alameda.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are in trouble. They lose at home again to the Arizona Diamondbacks, this time by 2. The Dodgers are on the verge of elimination in the best-of-5 series. If the Diamondbacks win Game 3 Wednesday night in Phoenix, the Dodgers are done for the season. Some sad numbers affecting the Dodgers in the first 2 games. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, their top 2 hitters, are a combined 1 for 13 at the plate. The Dodgers are 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position and have stranded 13 base runners. The Lakers beat Brooklyn by 3 last night in a preseason game in Vegas. LeBron and Anthony Davis played the first half before getting the rest of the night off. LeBron had 10 points and 5 assists. The Clippers take on Utah tonight in Seattle. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare?
If so, the new LA Care plan called Medicare Plus can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0.
LA Care provides personalized service to Angelinos like us.
Plus, it gives us access to doctors and specialists across Los Angeles County.
For zero cost, we get access to full benefits.
From vision coverage,
in-home support services,
to prescription drug coverage,
and a quarterly over-the-counter allowance,
plus personal equipment,
meal programs,
a gym membership,
and so much more.
For more than 25 years,
LA Care has provided Angelinos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost.
For our families,
our seniors,
our community,
it's a plus.
It's a plus
for all of us.
At City National, we listen to you.
I want to expand my business and my legacy.
I want to set up the next generation for success.
I want to see my vision come to life.
I want to feel right at home.
Your goals, passions, vision, future. We want to hear it and work alongside you to achieve it. Visit cnb.com to learn more. City National Bank. Here for our clients and communities.
What's up? I'm Danelle Riley, FAMU alumni and creator of the HBCU Culture Shop. I am so proud of my new partnership with Black Beyond Measure and Target. They help me elevate community pride with my HBCU designs and continue to support Black creators and entrepreneurs with Target HBCU challenges, scholarship programs, and campus collaborations. Let's come together this homecoming season and beyond. Shop my brand and discover other Black-owned products at target.com/blackbeyondmeasure.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Loretta Lewis, author of the book Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American Story of Love, Marriage, Motherhood, and Running a Billion-Dollar Empire. She is the wife, the widow of the late, great Reginald Lewis. If you know anything about finance, you know anything about his story. When he bought Beatrice, LTD, back in the day, it was a major, major story, as I said earlier, in case you've just tuned in. And when his book came out called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? I could not wait to read this book. I was saying to Ms. Lewis moments ago that I never had the honor of actually meeting Reginald Lewis, but I, when reading that book, felt like I knew him from reading the book. Blair Walker did a great job, as he did working with you on your text. I noted that he did both books. So I read that book and was just so empowered by it. And I've spoken a number of times at the museum in Baltimore that bears his name. I've been there a number of times. I've given a number of lectures there. And every time I go there, I always start with a tribute to him and how much I took away from that book. When it comes to books written by Black folk in the business world, the two that have most motivated me and inspired me, not that anybody asked, was Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun by Reginald Lewis, and Succeeding Against the Odds by John H. Johnson, the founder of the Ebony and Jet Empire. Two great books written by two brilliant Black gurus, geniuses. I highly recommend both of those books. If you've never read either, they are two of the books on my bookshelf that have quite frankly motivated me for many, many years. All that said, we were talking about your formative years in the Philippines and your loving father and mother and all they put in you and those 5 keys of success that you still hold on to all these years later. Tell me the story of coming to America.
So I passed the bar. Mm-hmm. My father said, yes, go, come back. We'll start your career in politics. And then this is where sort of like life took a turn because I met on a blind date a man very much like my father, ambitious, driven, hardworking, and has high dreams. Although at that time I didn't really understand how high his dreams was going to go. So on that blind date, we hit it off. We had a good conversation, etc., etc. And then he invited me again on the second date. And at that time, I was like, a girl from the province. Would you like to see the watercolor on my apartment? Because he told me about going to Europe when he was second year college at Harvard Law School. Yeah, in fact, my boss was his classmate at Harvard Law School, and that's how we met. My boss I introduced my sister to my boss. They're going out on the date, and that's when Ray Glover said, "Why don't I do a double date, Loida? Your sister and me, and you, and I'll introduce you to a blind date." And I've never had a blind date, so it's a new adventure. Why not? So on our second date, he told me about this watercolor that his friend, when he was in Paris. So I said, yes, why not? We'll go to his apartment. And I didn't know that was like a signal that you're going to be intimate. So he brought me home. I said, no. And I wrote him a letter. I don't want to see you again, but I'll remember you with fond memories. Okay, that was it. Goodbye. But 1 week later, he calls me for another date. I said, oh, my God, he didn't receive my letter.
Or he did, and he ignored it.
Well, that's it. We had a nice time. We talked we talked nonstop again. And as he was bringing me back to the hotel, I said, I wrote you a letter. Yes, you did. What? You received it? Yes, I did. I told you don't call me again. And this is how smart he was. Loida, I'll never do anything you don't want me to do. Broke down my defenses.
That is the coldest line I have ever heard. That's a cold line. Yes, I did. I would never do anything you don't want me to do. Man. Reginald Lewis was smooth.
Well, but that was not the end.
Yes.
As we continued to date, and on Christmas, near Christmas, he invited me to the Empire State because in the basement was Count Basie and his orchestra. So we went again, and I told him, I don't think we should see each other again. I said, why? Because I know I'm falling in love with you and you're falling in love with me, and I will just break both of our hearts because I'm going back to the Philippines. And then again he said, how do you know? So it really it's like he broke every angle of my defenses.
Yeah.
That's true. How do I know?
Yeah.
So I took it, and we continued.
Prior to that moment, that blind date, you said you'd never been on a blind date before. Had you ever gone out with an African American?
No, I was no. In the Philippines, we're all Filipinos.
Exactly. It's very homogenous. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hardly anything. But as I said in my book at the beginning, okay, I was almost run over by a military truck when I was 5 years old, and I nearly died. But the driver of that military truck immediately took me to the American Army hospital, and he was black. I didn't know that then. It's only when my mother told me, when she knew that I was getting married, that at the beginning of my life, when I nearly died, an African American serviceman saved me. So it's almost like, God has a way of getting two roads diverging and meeting, Yes.
It's an amazing story, So Reginald Lewis wins. He gets your hand in marriage.
No. I proposed, not him.
That is true. I was going to let you tell that story. So go ahead and tell it. You jumped ahead of me, but I ain't mad at you. Go ahead and tell that story.
Yes. Because, we're both 25, both lawyers. What else is next? So instead of waiting for him to pop the question, I said, on the subway, it was empty. So, darling, do you want a big wedding or a small wedding? And he replied, a small wedding. Up! He replied. And I continued, do you want it to be where do you want it to be held? He said, NYU has a small chapel. Because he's also Catholic, although, he doesn't practice. Both of us were Catholic. So he answered. I was so happy. When he realized what was happening, he put his hand on his head. I have a headache.
He had a headache, but it didn't stop him, though. It went forward.
No.
Yeah.
In the end, when I started to think what it means to be married, not to a black man, but to married to an American, a foreigner, as far as I'm concerned, living in the United States, it means leaving my country, leaving my family, my friends, my ambition. I was going into politics and be a senator, never getting married. I called him. I didn't even see him. I called him and said, I can't go through with it. I'm going back home.
And
then on the way home, we stopped in Stanford with my friends. I was just so sad. So one of my friends, he said, Jerry Hill, Loida, if you're that sad, why don't you just call him? Never thought of it. Immediately dialed the telephone in his office because, 3 hours difference. And I said, darling, I'm coming back. And that was it. We got married. Excuse me. We got married in the Philippines, and my father gave a big wedding for me, and right after the wedding, we flew back to Honolulu, not immediately to Japan first. Our honeymoon, which was wonderful, and that's where I bought the first print of Toshiro. Hiroshige. He is an American a Japanese printmaker, and that's the first artwork that I bought, or we bought. We bought for him, and then went to Hawaii.
What did your parents, your father, make of Reginald Lewis?
My father, of course, all his dreams are gone that I'm going to be in politics. But when I showed my father a picture of Reginald Lewis when we were in the Virgin Islands, and he looked at it and he looked at my eyes. His daughter is in love. No objection.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Because it's one thing for your father to have all these dreams for you. To your point, all the things he thought was going to happen in the Philippines, he knew was not going to happen because you're going to be with Reginald Lewis in the U.S. of A. And that's a lot to swallow for a father who had such big plans for you.
That's true. But my father my father is very broad-minded. Yeah. And I have never played around. I was just straight student. This is what I want. And so when I say I'm in love, I'm going to marry, Reginald Lewis, there was no objection because he knew I'm not a flimsy woman who will just say things that and he saw that I was in love. Yeah. No objection.
Love wins, as they say, love wins.
Yes.
The book is called Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American story of love, marriage, motherhood, and running a billion-dollar empire. As I said at the top, I can't do justice to this book even in 60 minutes, but I'm giving you the pieces. At least Lord Lewis is giving you the pieces that I can in the time that we have, and there are a few more pieces to share when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom. What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Happy birthday, Metro K-Line. Whether traveling for business or pleasure, it's time you made today a K-Line day. The K-Line can connect you with fun, food, friends, and family from Crenshaw to Inglewood in one safe, clean, comfortable ride. Take the K-Line today and experience the diversity that makes LA such a great place to live, work, and play. Make it a K-Line day. Go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
It is a rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley and Lord Lewis, author of the book Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American story of love, marriage, motherhood, and running a billion-dollar empire. I'm watching my clock and my time is getting away from me. Let me just ask you right quick to say a word about the business of Reginald Lewis, the business, Beatrice, and what you made of that moment when he did something that was iconic and historic.
Well, first I want to tell everyone his goal was always to buy a business because his statistics say if you start a business, 10% you win, 90% you lose, it fails. So his theory is in order to create wealth for myself and my family, I have to buy a business. He failed 3 times. And on the last one, he almost had a nervous breakdown. But it's not like because I thought he did not get the business because of racism. The white man, did not want to sell to a black man his business. But he didn't say his fault, her fault. He pointed 3 fingers to himself. I am doing something wrong. And so he studied all the successful LBOs, those who are able to buy businesses by borrowing money. And after studying all of their businesses, he said, I know what I'm doing. I was doing everything myself. So his first business that he bought on 100% financing, meaning he borrowed all the money, $22 million, is McCall Pattern. He worked on it very well, increased its income, and he sold it to 90 to 1 return, meaning if you invested $1, you got $90 back in 3 years. And right after that, he made a bid for $1 billion for Beatrice International Foods. And you say, he did that? He did it, but with the help of someone whom he has been inculcating for 5 years. And that is the financier of Drexel Burnham Lumber, Mike Milken.
Michael Milken, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
so Mike
yeah.
Milken and him, he was able to raise $1 billion. But to borrow $1 billion for 13% interest, you breathe in, that's 1,000. Breathe out, what? It's such a high interest, borrowing $1 billion. So what he did, before he even closed the deal, on November 30, he sold half of it. He got $500 million by selling all the companies. And on that day, he got the contract to sell. And on that day, November 30, December 1, in Paul Weiss, where he's formerly worked, there was a closing on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and closing and selling. On his floor, as they sold the company $500 million, he borrowed $500 million, so he closed the deal. 1987.
Reginald Lewis is bad boy. More with Lord of Lewis when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
I got to fast forward, Lord of Lewis, because we got like 4 or 5 minutes left here, and I got to cover a couple more things right quick. Reginald Lewis was able to achieve his dream. He dies far too young, and then a decision's got to be made. And you made the decision basically to take over. Was that scary for you?
It not really scary, because we interviewed 5 potential CEOs. And all of them wanted a lot of money, which is okay. You know, it's a $1 billion company. And all of them are white. Again, nothing, one
Sure.
Puerto Rican, nothing against that. But all of them were not able to tell me, I will make it succeed. All they could say was, I'll try my best. So in my mind, you'll try your best. What if it fails? Then Mr. Lewis' dream will go down the drain. Failure is not an option. And so after prayer, it was very clear to me on December 22, almost 1 year after he died, Loida, take over. Why? Because I have to take responsibility for the family. If it fails, I don't have to point my finger to somebody else. I failed. But if it succeeds, it's because I made the right decision of choosing who will be with me. So that's why I took over. Without any experience. Was I afraid? Daunting, yes, but I know God is with me. You know, I love Isaiah 50, verse 7. Because the Lord God helps me, I will not be dismayed. I have set my face like flint to do His will, and I know that I will triumph.
This is the right Reverend Dr. Lord of Lewis, who's preaching up in here right about now, and I love it. Let me close with this. Again, I just can't do justice to all this in this text, but you have been so beloved, are so beloved, and so respected for your philanthropy. So it's not just running a $1 billion empire, making money for you and your family, but you've given so much money away. I first saw your name as the chair of the Dance Theater of Harlem. You were chair there for a while, but so many other causes you supported. Just say a quick word to me in 60 seconds about the importance to you of philanthropy.
Mr. Lewis started it. My father started it. I mean, in grandmother, Mrs. Fugate, Carolyn Fugate, my mother-in-law, they all give. Why? Because to those much is given, much is expected. And also, you know, love your neighbor. Your neighbor, especially those underserved, they didn't have the opportunity, they didn't have the education. So Reginald F. Lewis Foundation, which he founded 30 years ago, is always for education, because education is the key out of poverty. Yes, entrepreneurship, yes, but it's really education. So that's why we continue to give. But we are now starting, after 35 years, how can we make an impact? And one of the things I'd like to work on is to make outlaw the companies that are making money out of prisoners.
Yes, oh yeah, horrible.
Yes,
Horrible.
so
I'm glad that's on your docket now.
Yes, it is.
And I know if it's on your docket, something's going to get done about it. Her name is Lorda Lewis. The book is Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? An Asian American Story of Love, Marriage, Motherhood, and Running a $1 billion Empire. I've learned over the years of doing this, over decades of doing this, that the mark of a great conversation is you leave the audience wanting more. And I don't know about you. I want more. I'm just out of time, so we'll do it again somewhere down the road. Lorda Lewis, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Tavis.
More Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Unlike militant group Hamas, attacked Israel over the weekend. One mother said she knew the last message she got from her son saying, "I'm